Hello, everyone. I've been hearing that President Donald Trump is considering the idea of a DOGE stimulus check for $5,000. I'd like to talk a little bit more about what about this DOGE stimulus check and DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, run by Elon Musk. They are considering that taxpayers who have paid taxes and in terms of cutting costs, they want to share the cost cutting by 20% of their savings, paying it back to the taxpayers. All it started with a tweet from James Fishberg in this X.com that mentioning, I have highlighted President Trump and Elon Musk should consider a DOGE dividend, a tax refund check sent to every taxpayer funded by exclusively with portion of their total savings dividend, and more details basically in this other red highlight below. So I clicked on that one and I tried to find out that what it's trying to do is that DOGE is trying to save $2 trillion. So 20% of that translates to about 400 billion, and there are 79 million US taxpayers. So if you divide 400 billion by 79 million, it roughly translates to about $5,000 amount. And they want to pay that $5,000 back to the taxpayers. It is also similar thing has been written in Politico. Elon Musk expresses interest in sending out those checks. I looked into Axios. In Axios, they say Trump considers the idea of those stimulus checks. I looked into Forbes magazine mentioning that those division check could be coming, and here is why is the political game change. Now, currently, U.S. national debt is staggering $36 trillion, and the DOGE is trying to save $2 trillion. And here is the national debt clock showing how this national debt is increasing every second. I checked into the DOGE website, DOGE live tracker, mentioning so far DOGE has saved $51.74 billion, and the target is $2 trillion. Also, if you like this video, I would really appreciate if you'd subscribe. That will help me to make additional more videos down the line. And here is President Trump commented when one of the reporters asked about DOGE checks.
There's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the DOGE savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible, Elon. So many billions of dollars, billions, hundreds of billions, and we're thinking about giving 20% back to the American citizens and 20% down to pay back debt, and pay down debt, which is, if you look at value, if it were a real estate balance sheet, the debt is tiny, but we still want to pay it down.
And regarding James Fishbeck, who is a hedge fund manager, when he is asked during Fox TV interview regarding DOGE check, where this money is going to be funded, here is his.
They didn't send it to Washington, D.C. for it to be spent on a rocky Sesame Street or on a transgender opera in Colombia. They sent it for our roads, our bridges, our healthcare, and our education. That clearly has been lacking. So guess what? Taxpayers are overdue for restitution. They need a refund. And I'm proud that President Trump supports our.
He said that taxpayers are due for this payment, and he's very happy that Donald Trump is very supportive of the idea. Now, regarding the payment, who is going to be paid? Is it all the taxpayers are going to be get paid or not? And here's the answer.
proposal.
So in your idea, and maybe it's not fully fleshed out yet, but would the dividend checks go to people, like all taxpayers, or just to people making a certain amount of money?
It's a great question. So the plan, everyone can read it at mydogedividend.com. The plan is very simple, Dana. We think Doge will save $2 trillion in total. You take 20% of that, that's $400 billion. You divide that by the number of American households that will pay federal income tax this year. That's 79 million. That gets you $5,000 to every American tax-paying household next summer. It'll have President Trump's signature on it, because without him, without his leadership, this would not be possible.
Then he was also asked regarding if those dividend checks are paid, is it going to be creating a lot of inflation? And here is his reply. He thinks that it's not going to be inflationary. Instead of that, rather than that, it's going to be deflationary.
Okay, the New York Times asked this: a Doge dividend, President Trump floated giving taxpayers a piece of any savings that Elon Musk cost-cutting generates, which could reignite inflation. And I'm no AI expert, but I just checked on Grok. I just asked a question. Would giving these checks possibly lead to more inflation? And Grok says yes. What do you say?
I say no, and here's why, Dana. The first reason is that our economy is in much better shape the last time stimulus checks were indiscriminately sent out by President Biden. We had a massive labor shortage, supply chain dislocations, and they were sent out to everybody, not just taxpayers. The second reason is that this money is coming from direct savings. So remember, for every $5 that Doge saves, $1 goes back to hardworking taxpayers. And a poll from 2019, CNBC found that 70% of Americans would use this type of check to pay down debt, which is the opposite of inflationary. It's deflationary. So this is a good policy.
So
it's good economics.
That's going to be my last question. Do you think that if somebody does ultimately get this check, if they have credit card debt, they should use that extra money that they found, the savings, the money they weren't expecting to get back, and pay down their own debt?
Absolutely. Just like DC should get its house in order.
So then should the government do the same?
The government should do the same, which is why this proposal calls for the rest of the money, the other 80%, to narrow the deficit, Dana, and to pay down our national debt. But American taxpayers who have worked hard, they need a break. They need restitution. The biggest part, Dana, though, is we incentivize them to report waste, fraud, and abuse. As President Trump said on Air Force One, report waste, fraud, and abuse, Dana, because guess what? The more Doge saves, the bigger their Doge dividend check is.
Okay. Interesting. Thanks, James. Good to see you. Have a great weekend.
My pleasure. You too.
So all that sounds really great. I mean, who would not like to get $5,000 checks? I mean, I was very happy when I get paid some money during the COVID, the stimulus checks. So something like that, getting $5,000, it will be very helpful for any common American. So, but what is the possibility that it's going to be happening, or what could be the hurdles in terms of government paying this $5,000 dividend, the Doge checks? One thing could be that it will require congressional approval. So any initiative to redistribute federal savings requires legislative authorization. Taxpayers may prefer allocation those funds to other priorities, such as reducing national debt instead of extending existing tax promises. So now that between the Senate and the Congress, there's a very thin minority. So there will be a lot of tug of wars, in terms of this payment. Second thing could be the economic implication. Some of the budget expert cautions that the market report that distributing such amount of large sums could exacerbate inflationary measures. Diminution of these concerns raised during the stimulus checks. So whether this is going to be inflationary or not, that is one thing. And the other thing, there could be a lot of legal challenges. It's a very foundation of our judicial scrutiny with ongoing lawsuits regarding its legality, etc. The outcome of these legal proceedings could impact in feasibility of any proposed of this dividend. As you know, if something goes to the court, I mean, things doesn't get sorted in 2 days. It takes some time to resolve it. So I'm not holding my breath that it's going to happen, but seems very promising that government is trying to pay back money to their taxpayers, in terms of saving, in terms of cost saving. You get like $5,000 paid. It may not be inflationary, but who knows? We'll find out. Hope you liked this video. If you did, please do subscribe this. I would appreciate it. And any question in terms of this DOGE sex, please write below a comment. I'll try to reply back. Thank you very much.